And
So so this is for those that may not be aware, this is a culmination of 3 years that our teens have come to class. And so today is their graduation. And we have our three teams, Eddie Maycumber, Elena Hammond, and Abby Davis, who are going to be moving on to transition to another part of their life, whatever it may be. And it's been wonderful to have them. And so each one of them is going to give a reflection on what it was like to be in the teen class for the last 3 years. And then after they speak, then I will sort of
speak.
say a few things. So I'm going to ask Eddie Maycumber to come up first.
Yay!
Thank you, thank you.
Do you want to stand?
You have to sit because they have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
I'd like to start with saying that I feel really lucky to be Jewish. It's great that it encourages open-mindedness, it discourages hate and prejudice, and I can tell somebody that I'm Jewish without them feeling pressured or like they think that I'm trying to change the way they think. It promotes camaraderie to and from everyone, which is something that is nothing less than essential to humanity. And teen class has really allowed me to become more in touch and knowledgeable about my Jewish faith. This is something rare, since they don't teach any kind of Jewish culture or history in the vast majority of core history classes. I've really learned to cherish the things I'm taught here. And I've also had a great opportunity to form friendships with my classmates through a Jewish medium, which I've never done before, and I've come to really value our relationships. And of course, I like to thank my mom for bringing me to and fro various Hebrew school related events, my dad for encouraging me to finish and everything, and even Austin, my brother, who has helped at some points. Um, and lastly, I'd really like to thank David. Um, my thinking has really matured and been polished since I started this class, and that is in big parts thanks to you. Um, uh, your lesson planning was excellent, and it was clear the effort you put in to make sure every class each week was productive and fun. And thank you for that. Also, I'd like to thank Ethan too. I feel like you really added a great insight to all of our classes, and I really enjoyed having you there. Um, and so overall, through the movies, the books, the talks, lessons, and the relationships, I've definitely grown as a person and as a Jew. Thank you.
I'm going to next ask Elena to come up.
Hey, people online. Hey, we made it. Okay. Like, typical graduation speech from a Hebrew school. I remember starting Hebrew school, learning blessings in the alphabet with my great aunt Barbara. Now here I am learning about Israel, the history of my faith, and influential people who got us to this point. I've learned so much in these 3 years, and I owe it all to my peers and my teacher David. And 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 Ethan. I just blanked. Public speaking. Okay. Um, I've learned so much in these 3 years, and I owe it all to my peers and teacher David. It's not been the easiest 3 years, but I am grateful for the wisdom and lessons David has taught us. If I had to say my favorite part, I won't lie to you, the food was pretty good. We always left class with a full stomach, and that's for sure. We would eat pizza, ice cream, personal snacks, and Chinese food. Once we got to the virtual Israel trip, we got to experience new foods that we never tried before. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of all of them, but it was fun learning where we could buy them if we went to Israel and the history behind these plates in Israel. Even when we were online, David still managed to bring us snacks and surprises. The movies were also a fun way to spend our class time. I couldn't think of any movie that didn't have a reason or message behind it. Every movie we watched was carefully linked to the lesson of the week. Some were classics like To Kill a Mockingbird or 12 Angry Men, and some were stuff I've never heard of. In our last year, we even got to pick our own movie ourselves and lead our own discussion about it. This excited me more than you know. I spent about a week talking to my family, trying to pick out a good film, and eventually came to the film Little Woman, the one released in 2019. I spent a few days researching and preparing my these questions because I had so much I wanted to say about the piece. It's probably the key highlight of our class this year because of how involved I got to feel even when we were online. The most important part of the class, though, was the discussions and lesson we got to take away. It was different than any class you would have. You had to take lessons. It didn't focus on history, dates, or chanting Hebrew. It was about big questions that we ponder, like what happens after death and where exactly is God. These discussions were key to my understanding of Judaism because in my eyes, being Jewish is asking ourselves these big questions. It's about being curious and questioning what is around you. David helped bring this to our attention, which I will always be grateful for. These discussions and questions shaped Judaism in my eyes, and now I feel as though I'm truly understand the faith that I follow. Going into the future, I will always remember the time that we shared. I might not remember every movie or every book that David had us read, but I will remember these discussions and the questions that we'd have debates about. I will take what I've learned and continue to research and ask questions. I will take the lessons that David taught me and incorporate them in my life. Lessons about being kind, being caring, and being a good person. Thank you, David, for everything.
Abby Davis.
So I have actually never really traveled before. Like I've just been to Pennsylvania. So for me, the New York City trip was very memorable, and I learned a lot from it. So that's what I'll be talking about. My favorite part about teen class was the New York City trip that David, Elena, Eddie, Dad, and I took. It was so memorable for me because I had never been on a trip with such a rigorous itinerary before. We got up early to be at the Biddeford parking lot at 6 a.m., which was a struggle because I am not a morning person. Then we loaded all of our
Amen.
Then we loaded all of our stuff and headed down to Rain's Deli in Connecticut. I was able to try a chocolate egg cream and was confused by it because it tastes like somebody put seltzer in a milkshake. It was the first of many interesting experiences on the trip and made me excited to try new things. When we got to New York City, we took a tour of the outside of the tenement buildings with the Tenement Museum. It really piqued my interest because I've always been fascinated by immigrants and how they lived. Also, our tour guide described the architecture in a way that made me want to know more. I want to go back to the Tent Museum and see the insides of the buildings because I have learned that I learn better when I see things and experience things. Unfortunately, it closed due to COVID, so that won't be possible. Later that evening, we saw the play Come From Away in Times Square. The play was about a plane that had to land in a remote town due to 9/11, and the actors told the story very well. What really stood out to me was Times Square. It was mind-blowing for me because I have never experienced anything like it before. There were so many people, women walking around practically naked, a man with a mask who was staring at himself in the glass and working out. It was very weird. And some anti-white people yelling at us. When we came out of the play, it was a weird feeling because I knew we were outside, but it felt like we were inside because of all the lights and the activity. The next day, we went to the 9/11 Museum. It felt sad, but I also had an immense feeling of respect for all the first responders and people who were there on September 11th, 2001. In the museum, there was a mangled fire truck, which really stood out to me. I think it stood out to me because it was a visual and physical thing that had been through 9/11. It showed the amount of destruction that happened, but also symbolized the sense of community and togetherness that the US felt after the attack. The whole New York experience was unforgettable and makes me want to travel more and experience different things. It also made me realize that I learn better through experiences. David and all the parents, thank you for making the last 3 years very memorable.
So first, and foremost, I want to thank all the teams for all you taught me these last 3 years. It's been a great experience for me. So does anyone here know where what movie this quote comes from? If you build it, they will come. Eddie? Okay. So that was one of the movies that we saw. And I have to tell you, so I'm not a teacher by profession. I like to teach. And I had this feeling like, if I teach, will they come? Will they show up? And I do believe that the way that I taught the class was for adult learners. There were no tests. It really came by self-interest. They had to be motivated. And I will tell you that we did a lot. And they did a lot at home. I asked a lot of them, and they showed up. And they did the work, and they were prepared. And I learned a great deal from them. I just want to share with you, because not everyone's aware of some of the movies that we saw and the breadth of movies. The movies, themes of the movies go back to themes from Pirkei Avot, which is the
Ethics.
the ethics of our fathers, our forefathers. And we pick a theme and then pick a movie. And these movies, I would say to you, you go, they're not Jewish. But you know what? Almost everything has a Judeo-Christian background of values. And that was the most important thing I wanted to have our students learn, was values. And I do think that they're walking away with that. As Elena said, she may not remember all the specifics and all the data that was forecast to us in the different things we read or saw, but they'll go away with what it means to be a good person in this world, and maybe where that comes from. And much of that comes from our religion. So some of the movies we saw, some of the more serious ones were Throw Mama from the Train. We did see 12 Angry Men, which is very intense. We saw Oh God. We saw The Karate Kid. To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'll get back to that in a second. Chariots of Fire. Inherit the Wind. Hook. Meatballs, and A Man for All Seasons. So you can say, what do all those have in common? They all have moral themes that are embedded in them. One of the sad things about the teen class was I wanted so bad for them to see To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway. And Beth and I got a chance to preview it before the pandemic, and I think it would have been awesome. So I do hope at some point that they will get a chance to see it, because they're very familiar with it, with the movie, the play, and just how strong a message it is in our world today, and how much of that ties into racism, anti-Semitism, anti-Zionism, it just down the line. So we started with Pirkei Avot 2,000 years ago. That's a Talmud. And we ended with a very, very difficult reading, as you'll admit, which is Rabbi Akiva, which goes down to some of the original readings from 2,000 years ago. And we dissected him thoroughly. The first year, as Abby alluded to, was the pinnacle of it was the New York City trip. Come From Away was a wonderful play. The deli was better. The second year, I already had bought tickets to Broadway play. We had everything all set up. And if you remember, the next thing that hit was the Hanukkah flood. So our synagogue was flooded. So now what do we do? Because our space where we watched the movie, we couldn't view them. So what happened? All the kids came to this house, my house, and we watched movies and pigged out and had great discussions. And then the pandemic hit. And I don't know if the teens remember that, but when the pandemic hit, I was not yet aware of how you screen share. So what I did was I put the movie on the TV, I put my computer facing the movie on a ladder, and then we'd watch the movie that way.
That was before I was there to help.
Then our tech guy, Joseph Gush, said, there's an easier way to do this. So, and then COVID hit. And then again, if you build it, will they come? Will the teens still come if they're not going to go to New York City? And they still came. And it was just wonderful. And then we have to figure out, as we all did, how do you teach on Zoom? How do you build a community on Zoom? And we worked very hard. I think they were very, very good. They support each other. They taught each other and taught me. So just a few weeks ago, we did the Israel virtual tour. And that was sort of, as best I could think of, instead of New York City trip. It's not quite it, but I think it accomplished a lot. Mordechai took us around every Sunday for an hour about different parts of Israel. And we had stuff like, so I think Abby said she didn't like all the food, or Elena. So I don't know which ones you're alluding to, but we had, each week we had a different theme of food. We had hummus.
Of course.
We had shakshuka. Leah made some sauce, and we had shakshuka, which is great. We had rugala, thanks to Ethan going to New Jersey just to get rugala. And he brought back, is it Bombas? Is that the name? Bombas also. And then we ended it with our favorite, ice cream. So it was great. We also read some books by Chaim Podik, The Chosen, Davida's Heart, which were wonderful. To me, one of the things that was I hadn't done before, which was taking a risk. I asked the students to pick a movie and lead the discussion on the movie. And I had no idea that way that was going to lead. So, Elena, you were first, I believe. Were you the first one? Was that? Okay, so Abby did the Pleasantville. And anyone who's seen Pleasantville, it's a wonderful movie. It's Disney World in a community where everyone is happy and trying to figure out what's reality and what's not. And the great discussions. It was a great movie. I'd never seen it before, and Abby led a great discussion. What was the second movie? Okay.
Little Women.
So then I asked Helena. So Helena, what movie would you like to see? And she goes, Little Women. And I had a little panic attack. I don't know if, and so I don't know if Elena knows all this, but I called her mother. I said, Denise, Elena picked Little Women. Do you think it's an okay movie for the whole class? I'd never seen it before. I wasn't sure that as a teen if I would have been interested in it. I think one of my biggest concerns is would the rest of the class, would Noah like to see Little Women? And Denise goes, oh, sure, I think he'll be fine with it. But then would Eddie, our jock, like to see Little Women? And so I call Eddie up. I say, Eddie, I just want to know that Elena picked Little Woman as a movie. Are you okay with that? He goes, that's neat. I can really learn a lot from that. This is the way these kids are. It's like, that's great. And so it's like, I really learned, that to have faith. So then Eddie had to go another step. He picked The Sandlot. I'm going, is Elena gonna lot The Sandlot about these teenagers playing baseball and this big dog called the Beast? And she was cool with it. There was a message there. And so it's in some ways a different generation accepting of people's values, and we could learn from everyone. And I learned a lot from that. So I can go on and on, but I'm gonna stop here. It's just wonderful. So I have something for each one of you. In the teen class and tradition, one of the things is a cross pen. So you each get a cross pen. But I couldn't stop there because I know how much you guys like to eat. And I'll tell you, I used to sort of ask them what they each like to eat. I'd get them sort of specify for them because it's not always easy to wake up early in the morning on a Sunday to get these kids out of bed. So the first one, so I know he can guess which one is his. Eddie, come up here. Eddie loves these Doritos. They are spicy sweet chili. And also, everyone's going to get halva from New Jersey. I was in New Jersey just to get this for you. And everyone's going to get some bamba. So, so please share with your family. So, Eddie, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. And that is from all your food.
Oh, thank you, Eddie. So next, for Abby, my pretzel girl. Hug. Hug.
Yes, sorry. That was a while.
That's right, I haven't hugged for a long time.
That's right.
And then, last but not least, Elena and her Cheez-Its. I don't know if you've grown out of them or not. Have you grown out of them or not? I think, what did you get? The animal crackers?
I think it was like goldfish.
Goldfish. Okay.
Ooh. Thank you.
So this is a bag that I want to thank. 4 years ago, Denise and Leah went into New York for a teen trip because I was unable to go. 3 years ago, was it 3? And they went to Eldridge Synagogue and got me this bag. And so in this bag, there happens to be a few things here. So I cannot move some people out of here. So there you go. There you go. Oh, no. So thank you very, very much. And we're going to continue the service now.
I just want to ask you all, when have you ever heard David talk so much? I mean, really, it just shows how much this class meant to him. And watching behind the scenes, he works so hard. No, open that. I had it right where I wanted it. He works so hard to always have a time and play and day that everybody could come to. And it was really, really special.
Between basketball and plays and dance and getting up early, we tried to make it work. I think it did. And the attendance was almost always 100%, which is really something.
But you did a great job.
Thank you.
So would the 3 teens please stand? Right by the bird feeder. May God bless you and protect you. May you feel God's face shine upon you. May God be with you always, favor you and grant you peace. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yaseim lecha shalom.
Amen.
Now you close the book. All right. We are on page, whoops, what does it say? 157. And so you go back to resume our service.
Please rise.
Um,
Go through. We're gonna sit so they can see us on the screen.
I'm gonna stand.
Do you stand okay?
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam
You may be
Va'ed.
seated.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhmah Poteach Sha'arim. Uma'avir Yom Umevi Laila Umavdil Ben Yom Uven Laila Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Echai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu, page 159, Le'olam Va'ed. All right, sorry, 157. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Now page 159.
158.
We'll never get to 159. No. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amechata Torah u'mitzvot Chaim u'mishpatim Otanu limata Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shakvenu kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha Nismach b'divrei Toratecha Uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki hem chayenu ve'orek yameinu uvahem nega yomam v'layla yomam v'layla. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Now page 159.
Now page 159.
Noah, would you come up and lead us in the Shema? Oh, it's right here. Yeah.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech Ukshat baka uvkumecha, ukshat tam leod al yadecha, v'hayu totafot beinenecha, uktaf tam al mizuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Thank you.
We're now on page 162.
On
the bottom.
B'ratzon kiblu alehem Moshe u'Miriam ובני ישראל לך אנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אליו.
Page 163. So this is in your extra booklet here.
Because 163, there's also 2 more.
So what you do is you go to the page that's all through the night.
Sleep, my child, and peace attend thee all through the night. Guardian angels, God will send thee all through the night. Soft the drowsy hours are creeping, hill and vale in slumber steeping. I, my loving vigil keeping all through the night. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ushmor tzedtenu, uvoenu, l'chaim u'shalom, me'ata v'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. And then I say, don't take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. And in this maze you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it phase you. No way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know one day it'll all turn around. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day. One day this all will change, treat people the same. Stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same sun, singing songs of freedom like one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, one day, one day.
We're now on page 165. Yitkadav Yitkadash Shemei Rabba
Amen.
V'yamad Divrach Yirutei V'yamlech Malchutei V'chayechon V'yamechon V'chayt Chol Beit Yisrael Agalav Zmakari V'yimru
Amen. Yehesh me Rabba mevorach le'olam olam me'omaya.
Yitborach Yitborach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'av V'yitrama V'yitnaseh V'yirada V'yitale V'yitala Shemei Dekudesha Brichu Le'ela Mikra B'chata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechemata Damiram V'yama V'yimru
Amen.
We now have a silent meter on page 166. Please stand.
Well,
We'll sit.
we'll
for
sit for this.
But please stand on page 166. We're now on page 173. You may be seated.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'enecha livarech et Amecha Yisrael b'chol het u'v'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hambarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Elena, please.
We're now on page 174.
Sarah, if you want it. Use the book.
My God, help me keep my tongue from speaking evil and my lips from speaking deceitfully. May I not respond to those who curse me, and in my dealings with others, may my soul be humble. Open my heart to your Torah, that my soul may pursue your commandments. And as for those who plot evil against me, quickly obliterate their thoughts and frustrate their plans. Do it because of your name, do it because of your strength, do it because of your holiness, do it because of your Torah. Deliver your loved ones, answer us, and use your power to save us. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing before you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer.
Oh, say shalom bimrama, say shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru imru amen. Say shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'Yakol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu v'Yakol Yisrael. V'imru Amen. Thank you.
We're now on page 175.
Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chutz v'am v'yachal Elohim b'yom hashvi v'kol melakto asher asa v'yishbot b'yom hashvi v'kol melakto asher asa Vavarech Elohim et Yom Hashvi V'yikadesh oto Kivo shavat mikol melakto Kivo shavat mikol melakto Asher bara Elohim lasot
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Konei Hashamayim va'aretz Magen Ava Bidrot V'imahot Bidvorot V'chayei Metim B'mamaro Ha'el HaKadosh She'en Kamohu Haminiach Le'amo B'yom HaShabbat Kodsho Kivam Ratzah L'chaniach Lahem Kivam Ratzah L'chaniach Lahem Lefanav na'avor b'yira v'pachad v'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid me'im habrachot el ha'hoda'ot Adon Hashalom Mekadesh HaShabbat U'Borech Shavi U'Meniach B'Kedusha Le'am Dushnei Nonei Zecher L'Maaseh Bereshit. We're now on page 176. Yitkadav Yitkadav Shemei Rabba B'yama Divrachi Rute V'yamlich Machute B'chayechon V'yomechon V'chaydecho Beit Yisrael B'galav Zman Kari V'yimru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Le'omei Omaya Yitborach Yitborach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'av Yitpa'av Yitnaseh Yitadav Yitalev Yitalal Shemei Dehudasha Brechu Li'ela Mikol B'chata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechemata Damiram B'yama V'yimru Amen Hitkabal Tzolchon V'chon Dechol Beit Yisrael Kedam V'chon Shemai V'yimru Amen Yehi Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'yimru Amen Oseh Shalom B'imramav Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael V'Yakol Yoshvei Tevel V'yimru Amen. Turn to page 179 as we rise for the Aleinu.
You sitting?
We're going to sit for the rest.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol lateit gedula liyotzeh breshit shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot velo samanu k'mishpachot hadama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam.
Page 180.
V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz Umashav Yakaro Bashamayim Mima'al, Ushchinat Uzo, Ushchinat Uzo, Begov Hemerumi. Hu Eloheinu Einod, Emet Malkeinu Efasulato, Kakatuv Betorata, Yadata Hayom, V'Hashevota, Elevavcha. Ki Adonai hu Elohim, Bashamayim Mima'al, V'al ha'aretz, Mitachat Enod.
On page 181.
Katuv b'Toratecha, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz. Vayom hahu, yihya Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. I don't know if any of you heard the Jewish cardinal singing Helena with us, right in tune. We're on page 182.
Our thoughts now turn to those whose lives have touched our lives. Some of us may stand to remember relatives or friends. Others rise to recall those who died and have no one to remember them. Still others may stand in silence in support of those who recite these words of faith, as Jews have done throughout the ages. We recall all those who are dear to us and give thanks for the moments we shared.
Yitgadal v'yitgadah Shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yama divra chirute v'yamlech machute v'chayechon uv'yomechon v'chaydecho Beit Yisrael bagala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach liolam liomei omaya. Yitborach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'av v'yitrama v'yitnaseh v'yitadav v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei dekudashah brichu liela min kol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata Damiram b'yama v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Hei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim olenu v'yakol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav hu yaseh shalom. Olenu v'yakol Yisrael v'yakol yoshvei tevel v'yimru amen.
Jewish train too. Could we have our three graduates up here for one last time, please?
We're gonna have them sit to do this,
I'm
or?
going to. Would you like to sit to do this so that we have you anchored?
You gotta make sure they're all on the screen here.
You could push it
Move it back.
further.
There we go.
There.
This is a prayer.
Day when nation will not lift sword against nation, and they will study war no more. Judged not by stereotypes, by the content of the church. Are you the protection of the world, so that we can make it a better place. But from the individual level,
We have not lost our nurtured faith for 2,000 years. We have not lost vision, being just person, staying unafraid under its own weight, living unafraid of its own. Pray that we hold on to our hope for the future and keep our commitment to make the future a better one. For us, our children, and for all God's children.
Thank you.
My mom wants to take a picture.
Okay.
Oh. Perfect. All right.
There we go.
Don't go anywhere yet. Abby, don't go anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
So, let's go to the next.
Yeah. Just push. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to have the families of the graduates come up here to help us with do a donalum. Everybody.
Can you help me move this?
You get thrones.
Hi, Auntie Barbara.
So,
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, Ali.
started. We're on page 112. And the way we're going to do it is you guys will do the first. And where's second,
All right.
third, and then we'll do the fourth together. Okay, we'll do the donalum, the echo. Okay, so want the Hammond stuff first.
Adonalum,
Adonalum,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'Terem Kol,
B'Terem Kol,
L'Tzirni Ra,
L'Tzirni Ra,
Li'et Nasa,
Li'et Nasa,
B'Hefzakol, Zayin Aleshimon Nikra Adonalum, Yaharei Kitot HaKol, Levad Elohim Kora Adonalum, V'hu Haya, V'hu Hoveh, V'hu Yevizikra Adonalum,
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 Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'Terem Kol,
B'Terem Kol,
Yitzirni Ra,
Yitzirni Ra,
Li'et Nasa,
Li'et Nasa,
B'Hefzikol,
Zayin Aleshimon Nikra Adonalum,
V'hu Echad, V'Yesheni, V'Hashua, V'Makra Adonalum, V'li Reishi, V'li Tachlit, V'lo Ha'aziyas Nitra Adonalum,
Adonalum.
Adonalum,
Asher Malach.
Asher Malach,
B'Terem Kol.
B'Terem Kol,
Yitzirni Ra.
Yitzirni Ra,
Li'et Nasa.
Li'et Nasa,
V'Hefzakol.
V'Hefzakol, Zayin Aleshimon Nikra Adonalum,
V'hu
V'Echi, V'Hayoli, Adonalum, V'Hu Reishi, V'Hayoli, Adonalum, Adonalum, Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'Terem Kol,
B'Terem Kol,
Yitzirni Ra, Li'et Nasa,
Li'et Nasa,
V'Hefzakol, Zayin Aleshimon Nikra Adonalum,
Yaharei Kiruti,
Adonalum,
Kiruti,
Adonalum,
just the graduates.
Adonalum,
Adonalum,
Asher Malach,
Asher Malach,
B'Terem Kol,
B'Terem Kol,
Yitzirni Ra, Li'et Nasa,
Li'et Nasa,
V'Hefzakol, Zayin Aleshimon Nikra Adonalum.
Hey, congratulations, guys. Mazel tov.
I can.
One.
I'm good.
I think I can.
Stop.
I can
Yeah.
handle it. Stay fine.
Stay here.
It's just.
It might be.
I'm gonna get soaked.
Why don't you all come up and get some wine?
I just.
Sam? Bella, watch out. Bella. Oh.
I feel left out.
You know.
If you could, I didn't get the package.
I don't want it.
I'm sure you have some wine at home.
Yeah.
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 No, it's all gone.
Oh. I wonder how that happened.
Elijah.
Yes.
So we're gonna do the whole blessing.
I think everybody have.
We'll do the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho b'ahava ratzon hinichi lanu zikaron l'maseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila l'mikroi kodesh zechel l'tziat mitzrayim ki banu v'chatav yotanu kidashna mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodeshecha b'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh Shabbat. And one more blessing, because this doesn't happen every day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'hivyanu b'zman hazeh.
Cheers.
We killed it.
Guys. I'm like trying to like.
Everyone.
Oh, girl.
How bad it was.
That's from New Jersey.
I seems used to it.
Jenny,
Can I make you proud, man?
I chugged that.
Yeah, I don't like it.
we have an exceptionally delicious challah baked by Jenny for Shabbat, and she's going to lead the blessing.
Should we go back to our seats?
You can go back to your seats.
Us too.
These seats are like really comfortable
you
though.
Okay. Yeah. We'll take those.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Oh, this is great. Beautiful. So, if you have another, you'll each be able to get a piece of challah, so don't worry.
We'll just put it here. Yeah, thanks.
Did you make that, Jenny? Oh my
Is there
goodness.
Isn't it gorgeous?
this one?
Yep. No. Oh. I think it's in the, is it in the book? If you would just go to the last page in your book. I'll sit for the camera. Bruchot haba'ot tachat kanfei hashechina. Bruchim habayim tachat kanfei hashechina. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with health.
So those of you that are on Zoom, good Shabbos. It's great to see you all and be part of our celebration.
Yeah, everyone can unmute on Zoom if they'd like. But yeah, good Shabbos to everyone.
And so now we're going to have an Oneg, a celebration in our teens. And we'd like to thank
Jenny and
Paula, Leah, Food,
and Denise
Denise,
and Denise.
Elise. Thank you very much. So there's food on the green porch. Welcome to have some. And there's a challah over there and snooze. And thank you and everyone. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.
Good job.
Good Shabbos, guys.
Shabbos, everybody.
Shabbos.
All right. Here goes the Zoom part. Thanks for everyone for joining. Have a good Shabbos, guys. Everyone be healthy.